Last week, I introduced you to the executive workflow revolution. 3 workflows that can give you back nearly 300 hours per year. Today, we're diving deep into workflow 1, from data to narrative. This is the workflow that turns your daily reporting from a 45-minute grind into a 2-minute review. But more importantly, it transforms you from a data compiler into an insight generator. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how this works, how to avoid creating prettier noise, and how to implement it starting Monday. Let's dive in. Let me paint a picture you'll recognize. It's 7 a.m. You log into your HD system, export yesterday's data, open Excel, copy the numbers, update your formulas, create charts, check for anomalies, write a summary, format it, make it presentable. By 7:45, send on your daily performance report. 45 minutes every single day. But here's what's really happening. You're not just reporting data, you're translating it. You're turning raw numbers into meaning. You're identifying what matters. You're spotting trends. You're providing context. You're doing the cognitive work that turns data into narrative. And that's valuable work. The problem isn't that you're doing it, it's that you're doing it manually. What if you could automate the translation while keeping the intelligence? That's what this workflow does. It doesn't replace your judgment, it amplifies it. Here's the breakthrough. AI can now take structured data and generate executive-ready narratives with insights, context, and recommendations. Not just charts, not just dashboards, but actual storytelling. The technology I'm using is called Gamma. It's an AI-powered presentation tool that can transform data into compelling narratives in under 2 minutes. And here's the key. You can use the free version for this. No subscription required. Let me show you how this works. First, you need your data. Here's yesterday's performance for a typical contact center. You have calls offered, calls handled, abandonment rate, service levels, average handle time, CSAT, first call resolution, and so forth. So there I see yesterday's data as appended against the daily data of the previous days. This is the same data you're already pulling every morning. Nothing special, just standard metrics. The magic is in what happens next. I'm going to open Gamma and click Create with AI. Now I'm going to choose Generate because I want to use a prompt for Gamma to be able to create the slides we need. Now here's where most people go wrong. They just paste data and ask for a dashboard, which then creates prettier noise. Instead, I'm going to be using a structured prompt that tells Gamma exactly what narrative to create. Let me show you. I've already created the prompt and it reads like this. Create an executive dashboard presentation for yesterday's contact center performance. Here's the data. I've given it all the data. Now you'll notice this is all the data on that last line item of this line item. Now I've just entered it here into a prompt. You can also create this as part of a workflow using the Gamma APIs, where you're passing this data on a daily basis, say just before 7 in the morning. So it even speeds it up. I'm also saying include an executive summary with key highlights and concerns, service delivery performance with trend indicators, quality metrics analysis, AI-generated insights on patterns and anomalies, and recommended actions for today. This is the tone I want, and I'm saying I want to do in a 4 to 5 slide dashboard presentation using professional business presentation design. Edit prompt. Now you can still add additional instructions, but for the moment, this is the prompt I want to use. So I'm just going to go and generate. And here we go. It's generating the insights, the stats. Let's watch this as we go through it. So as you notice, while it was working, Gamma was analyzing the data, identifying patterns, generating the insights, and creating a narrative structure. So let's see what we got. Look at this. Slide 1, or the cover slide. It has created a nice cover. You can interchange this photo now to something more specific. There's also the opportunity in Gamma to create templates that you reuse every day, so you don't have to recreate these templates. It then pushes it into the desired format so it stays consistent. Or you can maybe have 3 different templates which you interchangeably use so that it stays fresh and it looks great. So on the next slide, it is now created the executive summary, which it identified some key highlights with the CSAT being strong, but it also flagged a concern regarding the service level at 75.4%, which is below target. It's also written this in executive language. Not calls were high, but volume pressure impacted service delivery. Of an analysis on the next slide is done a little bit of analysis on the quality and customer experience metrics with performance insights. On the next slide, it's showing calls versus staffing distribution. And then it's created AI-powered pattern analysis, which helps with detecting anomalies or trends. And this is where you need to now validate whether this is aligned to your operations. Does it make sense? Is it right? Has the right context been given for the analysis and patterns? And if it's not right, you can simply use this and say, something is wrong. Please make sure you understand this context, and then it will correct that slide for you. On the next one, it's created a little bit of a root cause hypothesis using primary factors and supporting evidence. And then on the next slide, it is has created recommended actions for today in terms of how would one manage something like this. So again, if you want something different emphasis, you just edit it with AI and it does it all for you. On the next slide, it has highlighted some strategic initiatives for sustained performance. That is a workforce management review potentially needed. Looking at routing optimization, it could be a play for better routing or cross-training program that can help with expanding the agent's skill sets to increase the routing flexibility. Then on the last slide, it has just summarized everything into the next steps and also just highlighted what today's focus is, what the likely focus for today can be, and its action by the different stakeholders. So that's the workflow. As you can see, it isn't blindly just accepting the AI output. It's about starting at 80% instead of 0%. You spend 2 minutes reviewing and refining instead of 45 minutes creating from scratch. And that's the workflow. As I mentioned, this can also be done using the Gamma API. And within automated workflows, this can be built in and pre-populated in terms of what data needs to be delivered to the slides in order to complete the presentation deck for leadership, ops managers, or whoever else would need this. This can be slightly tailored as well, also towards a client. If this needs to be created for a client, you'll also have a different tone and a little bit different context with a different prompt associated. So depending on your audience, you can tailor this to suit the needs and the tone. Now, let me tell you how to avoid creating prettier noise. Mistake number 1, garbage in, garbage out. If your data is incomplete or wrong, AI will create a beautiful narrative around bad information. Always validate your data first. Mistake number 2, accepting without review. AI is powerful, but is not infallible. It might miss context you have. It might emphasize the wrong thing. Always review your expertise. Mistake number 3, over-automating. Don't automate what requires human judgment. Use AI for the translation, but you make the strategic calls. Mistake number 4, forgetting your audience. The prompt I showed you is for executives. If you're reporting to operations, you'd adjust the tone and detail level. Tailor the prompt to your audience. Do it right. AI handles the heavy lifting. You provide intelligence. Together, you create narratives that drive decisions. Now let's talk about the real value. The time saving on this was going from 45 minutes to 2 minutes daily. That's 43 minutes saved times 5 is 215 minutes per week, about 14.3 hours a month. It's a whopping 172 hours per year. That's more than 4 full work weeks back in your calendar. But the biggie value is this. You're no longer a data compiler. You're an insight generator. You have time to act on the insights instead of just reporting them. You can be proactive instead of reactive. You transform from executor to strategist. That's the real ROI. Not just the time saved, but your role being transformed. Next week, in Workflow 2, we're going to explore knowledge at scale, how to create training materials in minutes and deploying them in 60 languages. If you want the prompts I used today and implementation guides, check the description for exclusive resources. The Executive Workflow Revolution continues. See you in the next video.